going to now do a little tutorial on some Zotero. And hopefully all of you should be familiar with Zotero at some level in terms of using it for citations, whether you've just heard about it in passing or whether you use it every day. But we are going to take a little bit of time here to talk about Zotero setup, specifically with integration between Zotero and R and Quarto and collaborating, because it is a fragile thing that can be a really, really beautiful way to do your citations, especially when you're working on a collaborative project, but it is also delicate. So let's do it. Okay. So let's start on the Zotero side. So I have Zotero on my desktop as an app, and so I'm going to start there. I have my libraries here, so you can see kind of all my different libraries. And one thing that you are going to want to set up in Zotero if you are doing citations in Quarto or Markdown, or kind of integrating that, specifically if you are collaborating with other people, but also it's probably a good practice just generally if you're for yourself, especially if you end up with the same citation across multiple libraries, is creating what we call better BibTeX citations and just citation keys, and making that consistent across your library. So in order to do that, you are going to go to this little website right here, and you can just look up Zotero Better BibTeX online. This will come up. And this is an extension for Zotero that generates citation keys that are going to play well across your different libraries, and that should then make sure that your citation keys match the citation keys that someone else has. They all match the reference doc that our Markdown and Quarto are using, and everything's on the same page. It works beautifully. So the first thing you're going to need to do is download this extension. And if you scroll down here, getting started, you have some installation instructions. Go ahead and install that latest release. And then in Zotero, go to Tools, Add-ons. So I'm going to go to my Zotero here, Tools, Add-ons. And you can see here I have this Better BibTeX for Zotero, and that is enabled. So what you are going to want to do is hit that gear up here. You are going to want to install add-on from file, and then install that XPI that you just downloaded, restart Zotero. Okay, so now you have Better BibTeX installed in Zotero. Great. What you are going to want to do now is set your Zotero, your preferences, so it's using that, okay? So in order to do that, you are going to go here, Zotero Preferences, and you can see if you go to Better BibTeX, the citation keys formula is what you're going to want to look at. And this is, I believe, the default Better BibTeX citation key, which makes sure that you aren't going to run into conflicts with your citation keys. And it's a pretty good way of doing it. This is how I do. These are the settings I have. So auth.lower plus short title plus year is the citation key formula. Check the box for citation key to plain text. It should be already checked, I believe. Enable citation key search. Keep keys unique within each library, because if you do it across all libraries, then what you're going to end up with is, if you have the same paper in different libraries, it's going to have an A and a B and a C for those different papers that are for that same paper that's in multiple of your libraries. But I like to just keep the keys unique within each library, so that if I have a citation in multiple different libraries, it's still always the same citation key. Those are the setups, and we can pretty much stop there. When I used to use R Markdown, I use the automatic export as well. So if you are using R Markdown and not Quarto, talk to me later and we can talk about how you might want to set up your automatic export. But with Quarto, you shouldn't have to do that. It should be more self-sustaining in that way. Okay, so you've got Better BibTeX installed. You've got Zotero. Let's talk about setting up a group library in Zotero. So say you're working with other people in Zotero. Let me look right here and just give a quick introduction. Hopefully this won't be too new for folks. But you can set up a group library if you're working on a project where you can house all the citations for a project together. So say that I want to set up a new group library. Let's see, I'm going to go to groups and I'm going to go create new group. Okay. I'm going to call this Taylor, or I'm going to call it PHS 650 examples. That should work. Okay. And then that is the URL for that. I am going to make this a public open membership group, but you can make it a closed membership so people can see it but not add to it, or a private membership where you're adding people individually. So you can do that. If I were to do a closed membership, then I can click that, create group, and then set permissions for who can do things. So anyone, and then maybe like only group admins, something like that. Any group member can read. Okay, let's call that. Okay, save the settings. And then what I would need to do is go to member settings and invite some members. So I would need to send some invitations to invite these members. And then if I had the admin permissions, I would need to give them admin permissions, okay? So right now, this is just set up for a library for me. I haven't invited anyone else, but we can see, hopefully, that it should get picked up by Zotero library soon. So let's see if it's in here now. Yep, so PHS examples is in here. And I'm just gonna close and reopen my Zotero, and maybe that will we'll see it when it loads. All right, so that's how to create a group library. So if you're working with groups for your final project, then go to the actual website in Zotero, go to groups, and set those up. Invite who you want, set your permissions how you want. All right. So now let's go to my Taylor code book and just talk about the references and things that we need to set up in R. So in addition to setting all of those things up in Zotero, you are going to want to work on a couple of settings in R. If you go to Tools and Global Options, then you have this, this will come up. You're going to go to R Markdown. So there isn't a special Quarto citations thing. It works through the Markdown preferences, and then citations. Here you can specify what Zotero library you want to use, whether it's a web library or local library, for your references, and then where that directory is on your computer and which libraries that you want to use. So my Zotero is being a little slow right now, but it's coming. Okay. And then what you're going to do here is definitely check this use better BibTeX for citation keys and BibTeX export. So that is what I'm going to say right now for my global options. Notice these are global options, so that means that you are using these for all of your Quarto documents, so it's not necessarily one in particular. We're going to get to the exact reference bib file that you're going to be using in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to apply that there. I'm using the overall library, and then here you can see this is my book that, remember, we created this code book a couple of weeks ago. So this is a Zotero book, and this is my YAML file that is the instructions on where to find things. You can see at the end I have a chapter called references.qmd, and then it specifies that my bibliography is in a file called references.bib. So when you do and you can name this file whatever you want to name it, but whatever that file name is, it needs to be in your repository so that Zotero can then, so that it can be written by Zotero and written by the Quarto and RStudio. All right, so the example I gave here used the @Taylor citation, but say we wanted to add another citation here. So I am going to insert citation, and you can do this a couple ways. You can, in visual mode, just go to insert citation. You can also, in source mode, just hit the @ and then the start to your, if I was going to cite myself, start that. All right, so might have to wait just a second for my Zotero to finish starting up here. Oh, here it is. Okay. So say I wanted to cite this article. Notice that these citation keys are fairly long, right? So it has the first author and then 3 words, the year. Now, go back to that Better BibTeX. Remember we said author last, short title with 3, and then the year. So they're all in this kind of format, right? And what I'm going to do is go ahead and insert this citation. And you can see it shows up here. And then let's check it out. Does it show up in my references right away, or do we need to? Okay, so it hasn't shown up yet in the references, but I am going to guess that if it it looks like there was just a change at 222, so maybe if I open this again, yep, it is there now. So you can see it's right there. So it's already gotten automatically added to this references.bib file. I didn't have to do a dang thing. And now if I render, so I'm going to save and render. Our Thompson citation that is in the references, as well as our Abbott citation. The cool thing about this is you can actually hover over it, and we can see the full citation just by hovering over it. So that's a pretty neat integration with Quarto as well. And that both of those citations were added to the references without us doing much of anything. So it's pretty cool. You can also specify what format you want your references in the, I believe it's in the YAML file as well. You can specify what's called a CSL file, or the way that you want your references to be formatted. So here it's, let's see. I'm gonna have to look this up because I've done it in R Markdown but not Quarto. Formatting Quarto. Yeah, it says a CSL file specifies the formatting to use and citation style. Yeah, so you can put CSL as another thing. So under the bibliography, we could write CSL, and then we would have to find that CSL file, which you can find, and that there might be some here. It says a CSL's project central repository. So this should be the central repository where you can find those CSL files. And then download which one that you need based on your citation style that you're looking for. So you can see there's tons of citation styles here. Download that file, put it into your repository, write CSL here, what that file is, and then it will change the format of the references as well. So, fun stuff. The other thing is, so if I committed these and then pushed them to GitHub, all of this, including all the references, right, and all of those files would then be in that Git repository, so that whoever is next working on this, it will be automatically updating, and it will have that reference bib that for all the references that you have, maybe someone else is adding some references of their own, and it's all updating. And even more importantly, if you all set up your citation keys in this way, the citation keys should be playing really well with each other, and adding articles should be working across your different Zotero libraries and across your different computers. Okay, so like I said, seems like a simple task, but there's actually a lot of moving parts to the Zotero integration. You got your better bib text, your kind of add-on that you want to add on to Zotero. You're going to want to make sure that is live and it is doing the correct option for your libraries. And then you have your setup in Quarto that you want to set up so that it can find your Zotero library, so that it is using the citation keys that you want, using those better BibTeX citation keys, and then you can hopefully work well with others. All right, that's it.